we all need in every day a period of, sometimes referred to as mindfulness, sometimes referred to as meditation, sometimes referred to as just rest or peace, maybe once or twice a day. Now, with people with those earplugs, I think there would be ways of creating sound that allow people to have that real sense of an inner peace, that you actually are in connection with what is your very essence. And that sound could be a natural sound, like the sound of a whale, or the sound of a bird singing, or a waterfall. Because sometimes, for a lot of people, in the right setting, that's a very powerful sound. It has great meaning. It's what we were saying earlier about eternity, or as near as we can define eternity. Because the whales have been calling to each other for 200 million years. So that whale sound is an eternal sound. And I think if people had some of that sound, which I would call the eternal sound of the natural world, and they were using that as part of their meditation, I think it would help them to recover a bit more about who they are, about what their fundamentals are, and the fact that they are only part, happen to be a slice in time over a huge long strip. So that's one sound. Now there are other sounds which musicians can make just from creative music making, and that would be sounds which can be whales, W-A-I-L-S as opposed to W-H-A-L-E-S, but also from the musicians, sounds of instruments. Some of these sounds could be quite percussive, because that's not perfectly all right, and some of these sounds would be very lyrical and gentle. Though in general, the line I would take when it comes to sound is it needs to be without tension in the mind and the body, so it needs to be more gentle than aggressive. And then, because of my own bias, there are songs of various kinds from all over the world, particularly from what we will call native cultures, the cultures, indigenous cultures. I think some of those songs, given to people who have not heard them before, and allowing them to hear what people are saying when they're happy, when they're sad, when they're reflective, I think that can make a big difference too. We get a bit of this in what's called world music, but it's not that common, so I think that should be there. And then I finally, but that's because I'm moving from the unconventional to the conventional, you still can have something wonderful out of a Brahms sonata or Brandenburg or whatever it is. So there's still a little bit of me that would turn to a Bach fugue if I really wanted to have an amazing ability to relax my mind and think differently. But coming to the core of your question are three things. One is the sense of timelessness, eternity. We have to have that as part of our thinking about sustainability, and we don't. We are very time bound. So just getting us out of that would be a big step forward. Second, we need to be able to relax, not to feel the cares which are always upon us, getting into us, digging away in us, so that we can remove them for just enough time that you can touch the inner part of your system. And I think that is vital. And the third thing is that sounds, if they're unfamiliar, but nevertheless are very enriching in terms of the way in which you can understand culture or wildlife or whatever it is, are part of a learning experience and part of realizing that on this planet all these things are there in some form or another, and we mustn't lose sight of that, because what in a sense is part of your discussion is the conservation of sounds, of keeping them always there, not shutting them out, so we reduce them, like we're reducing the number of plant species for wheat or for apples. We can't do that for sounds, and we can't do that for culture. So we have to have that enrichment, so that there is no boundary to sound.